turn off the light and step into the pit. The real horror begins when the eyes close. And there's no escape. Give me your purest fear, for now I am all the shadows that surround you. Come, follow me. Take my hand. I will lead you to the gallows.
I've spent my whole life driving a taxi through the streets of Buenos Aires. But there are nights I'd rather not remember. I've always worked the night shift, not by choice, but out of necessity. Long trips pay better after sundown, and there's less competition. Besides, the night knows me, and I know it. Or at least I thought I did. It was a cold, damp night in April. I'd picked up a passenger near Constitucion, a man in a suit who barely said a word the entire ride. He asked me to take him to La Candelaria, over 100 kilometers outside the city. Are you sure? I asked. That's pretty far, and it's already late. Charge whatever you want, he replied hoarsely, without even looking up from his phone. The amount I quoted was generous, very generous, so I started the engine, and we disappeared into the night. The ride was strange. My passenger stayed silent, staring out the window with an expression I couldn't read. When we finally got to La Candelaria, he paid what we'd agreed upon and walked off into the darkness without another word. It was a strange trip, but it had been worth it. It was almost 2 a.m. when I began the drive back. The road was completely deserted. Just me, the low hum of the engine, and the endless flatlands of the pampas stretching out on both sides, bathed in a faint greenish glow. The AC wasn't working properly, so I'd cracked the windows just a bit. About 30 minutes into the return, I saw her. A thin figure standing in the middle of the road, arm outstretched, trying to flag me down. My first instinct was to step on the gas and keep going. You never know what you might run into on the road at that hour, especially when you've had bad experiences before. But something made me slow down. Curiosity, maybe.
Come on, stop. Stop this damned path. The earth wants you, and the worms that will crawl from your eyes.
She was a young woman, wearing a light-colored coat that almost shimmered under the dim glow of my headlights. Long, dark hair, and she was visibly trembling. I stopped the cab a few meters away and rolled the window down. "Do you need help?" I called out. She came running, her steps unsteady, like she was hurt. When she reached the window, I got a good look at her face. She was beautiful, but there was something in her eyes, a deep, unsettling fear. "Please," she begged, her voice cracking. "I need to get far away from here, really far." "What happened? Are you hurt?" "I can't explain. Please, just drive." I glanced back toward where she'd come from. Nothing but darkness. Still, something about her desperation convinced me. I unlocked the back door. "Get in." She slid into the back seat quickly, nervously. I locked the doors and hit the gas. In the rear-view mirror, I saw her curl up in the corner, hugging herself tightly. "Where are you coming from?" I asked as I picked up speed. "From a ranch. Not far," she mumbled without looking up. "Did someone hurt you? Should we call the police?" "No," she snapped. "Just take me to Buenos Aires, please." Her voice sounded strange, like it was echoing from far away. I decided not to push it. There was something about the whole situation that put me on edge. Then I noticed the smell inside the cab. Sweet like wilted flowers, mixed with damp earth. Minutes passed in silence. I focused on the road, trying not to glance at the rear view too often, but every so often I couldn't help it. She was still there, frozen in place like a statue. "Are you sure you don't want to stop somewhere?" I offered. "There's a gas station in about 20 kilometers. She didn't answer. I looked in the mirror. Again her head was down, hair covering her face completely. She seemed to be trembling, but I couldn't be sure. The silence had grown heavy, oppressive. All I could hear was the engine's hum and the wind slipping through the windows. But then, something else, a faint sound, like someone breathing right next to my ear. I looked in the mirror again. This time, she'd lifted her head. Our eyes met for a second, and what I saw made my blood run cold. Her eyes were completely black. No whites, no pupils, just pure darkness. Maybe it was the lack of light, I don't know. But it was terrifying. "Are you okay?" I asked, trying to stay calm. "I'm cold," she replied, but her voice had changed. It was deeper now, rougher, almost guttural. I turned up the heat, though I was already sweating. The sweet smell grew stronger, almost nauseating, like something was rotting inside the cab. "How much longer?" she asked. "About 40 minutes, I replied, pressing the gas a little harder. "Perfect." Something about the way she said that word gave me chills. There was a sinister satisfaction in her tone. I decided to focus on the road and stop looking in the rearview mirror, but it was impossible to ignore her presence. I could feel her eyes fixed on the back of my neck. The air inside the cab had grown thick, almost unbreathable. And that sound, that breathing that didn't quite sound human. Suddenly, I heard a noise behind me, like something shifting in the seat. I glanced in the mirror. She was no longer huddled in the corner. She had slid to the center of the back seat directly behind me. "I think this is far enough," she said. Out of nowhere, I felt her hands cover my eyes. They were cold as death and carried that nauseating, rotten scent. The taxi swerved violently. "Let go. We're gonna crash." "What the hell are you?" I shouted, struggling to keep control of the wheel. No response. Instead, I heard laughter, high-pitched and unnatural. It wasn't human. It sounded like a child's laugh, but twisted, corrupted. Then I felt claws sharp, claws digging into my face. I felt something wet running down my cheeks. Blood. Behind me, that inhuman laugh grew louder, more manic. I fought with everything I had, trying to get her off me. One hand on the wheel, the other clawing at her. Claws. In a burst of panic, I managed to grab her wrist and yank with all my strength. What I touched wasn't human skin. It was cold, slimy, and scaly. But I got her off me for just a second. That second was enough to see the road again, but too late. We'd veered completely off course. The taxi crashed into a pile of medium-sized rocks, which helped cushion the impact. The engine gave one last groan and died. Everything went still, heart pounding. I looked into the back seat. It was empty. I stumbled out of the cab, legs shaking, my face burning from the cuts. I ran blindly across the pampas, tripping over rocks and weeds.
There's no escape. Run all you want. You can flee, but you will never outrun it.
Until I saw a faint light in the distance. It was a small cabin. 2 older men were sitting on the porch, passing a bottle between them. When they saw me running toward them, they stood up. "Good God, son, what happened to you?" one of them yelled. I collapsed onto the grass, gasping. Something in my cab. A woman." "Come on now, come here," the other man said, helping me up. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "Worse," I muttered. They brought me onto the porch and gave me a shot of aguardiente. It burned going down, but it helped me steady myself. I told them what had happened. Judging by their faces, I couldn't tell if they believed me. "Well," the older one said after I finished, "it's been one hell of a night. Get some rest here. We'll check out your cab in the morning." I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those black eyes and felt those claws digging into my skin. I stayed awake until the first light crept over the horizon. The next morning, the three of us walked out to where I'd left the cab. When we got there, the driver's door was wide open just like I'd left it. But the rear, right door, it was open too. I ran out through the driver's side, I said. We searched the inside of the cab. Nothing. No trace of the woman or whatever she was. But as we walked around the vehicle, one of the men suddenly stopped. Look here, he said, pointing at the ground. In the soft dirt, clear as day, were footprints. But they weren't a grown woman's. They were small child-sized, like those of a toddler. Tiny prints, walking away from the cab and disappearing into the endless pampas. What the hell? I muttered, following the tracks with my eyes. So, those cuts on your face weren't from the crash, one of the men said. Now do you believe me? I replied. They looked stunned. Best we get out of here, said the old man, crossing himself. There are things out here that are better left alone. I never worked outside the city again. Who was that man I picked up that night? Was he connected to the thing that attacked me? What was that thing in my taxi? And whose tiny footprints vanished into the pampas? La Candelaria is a strange place. A place with many dark legends. But what happened to me that night? Some questions are better left unanswered.
Cursed you are. Forever. You will return. One way or another, nothing, absolutely nothing escapes the claws of death.